Well, at least he's finally back in the suit. I found it weird that they dropped 2 episodes this week, but upon watching episode 5, it became very clear why. So episode 5 is one of, if not the only, episode that hadn't been tampered with after they completely overhauled this show and started from the ground up. And that is very apparent because not only is this the shortest episode in the show, but it also feels like the most episodic, which is what I understand the original plan for this show was supposed to be. 18 episodes, all bottle episode individual cases of Matt doing stuff, whether it was defending a new client or handling a situation. Apparently he was supposed to have like 6 different suits throughout the entirety of the season, so. And it also just feels like the most Disney Plus of the entire show so far. Like, yeah, they still have the violence and the language, but this felt very bottle episodic to me. And I understand that some people might like that because it feels more like, classic TV, but at the same time, it felt like it just completely interrupted and derailed from the normal narrative that they had going so far with these other episodes. And I also feel like if you just jump from episode 4 to 6 without watching this one at all, you're not really missing much because they cover all the necessary information in a flashback in episode 6. Basically, you got Matt going into the bank for a loan, all of a sudden a robbery happens, and he's got to work his way out without being in the Daredevil suit. It was about 10 minutes into the episode that I realized, yeah, he's not putting on the suit in this one, is he? Frankly, again, the worst of Daredevil is still better than a lot of the other MCU Disney Plus shows, but this is just another instance of it could have been a lot better, and I've seen Daredevil be amazing, so it's really hard to take anything less than perfection at this point. This just feels insanely optional. There's nothing to do with Fisk, we're not continuing the narrative, we'd have no mention of Muse or any of the other side characters really. Thankfully though, we don't have any more of those stupid BB reports, so that's the one nice thing about it, I guess. But man, oh man, was the inclusion of Kamala Khan's dad ever so frickin' forced. He's literally name-dropping her throughout the episode multiple times, and Matt's like, oh yeah, your daughter Kamala, okay, it'd be interesting. Maybe I'll have to meet her someday or something like that. And then he also has a frickin' Pop Funko of Miss Marvel at his desk, and it's just like, yeah, we get it. He was in Miss Marvel. And I remember that this character was in the actual leaked trailer from D23 or San Diego Comic-Con, one of the two, but it still just feels jarring seeing him in this show. And that's something that I go back and forth on with the MCU. It's just ever since Deadpool and Wolverine got greenlit, we've had a very strong tonal inconsistency of Disney all of a sudden embracing an R rating. I mean, obviously we had the Netflix shows that were all rated TVMA, but those were kind of removed from the overall MCU, and while there were a couple of connections here and there, the movies didn't really make mention of them, and it's not until now that they're starting to recognize them as canon. And also, in those shows, they still wouldn't drop the F-bomb for whatever reason. They would show sex scenes in some, like Jessica Jones, and then they would get super violent in others, like Punisher and, well, basically all of them. No, God forbid we ever say the F-bomb. And I'm not advocating for more profanity or anything, but it just seemed really inconsistent on that platform. And then all of a sudden we get to Disney Plus, and they're dropping multiple F-bombs in this episode alone. And so when you take a character like Yusuf Khan from a really, lighthearted, childish, family-friendly oriented show like Miss Marvel, and you drop him into the dark, bleak, gritty, mature side of Daredevil Born Again, it just feels like tonal whiplash for this character overall. But overall, this episode just felt kind of unnecessary and inconsequential to literally anything else in this season whatsoever. Last thing, Detective Angie Kim. Was there any reason she couldn't have been Yuri Watanabe? I mean, Asian female detective who's got a sarcastic nature, dresses in leather jackets, and deals with vigilantes? Hello? I will admit, though, that leprechaun nun joke was pretty funny. But for this episode, scoring it out of 10, I guess I could give it a 6. Episode 6 was a right side better than the last one, actually giving us something to do with Kingpin and Vanessa, and thank God they're not in couples therapy for once. We're actually seeing them interact with each other almost like they did during the Netflix show. We did get more Muse, still don't know who he is, don't have any backstory from him, but we did get a lot more screen time. He's a lot more plot relevant and centric. They're actually investigating his paintings, and it turns out he's been using the blood of his victims in his paintings. That's all sorts of sinister. And yes, Matt finally does put the Daredevil suit back on again. He literally says, F it. No, seriously, he drops an F-bomb, like, straight up. And like I said, they're just a lot more comfortable with using that kind of language now, I guess. And he starts swinging around so he can go rescue White Tiger's niece. Got some cool action with him fighting Muse, and it's a pretty cool parallel because he's fighting Muse and Kingpin's beating up Adam, and it's basically a way to show that they're returning to their prime form of being Daredevil, being Kingpin, and getting out of the rut that they were in for the past 5 episodes, I guess. Kingpin's hired his own task force of cops, which are basically going to act as his own personal mercenary tack team, but like, we haven't seen them do anything yet. He hands them their vests, which presumably have Punisher logos on them. And after hearing the testimony of one of the guys and giving a rousing speech, that's all we get. Literally the next scene is him going to his lair so he can go beat up Adam. And I'm guessing we'll get more of them next week or in the next few episodes. I had to laugh though because the one cop goes, "Why us?" As if there wasn't a clear and obvious reason why Kingpin assembled them. Dude, you all are branded with a frickin' Punisher tattoo. It's like he didn't even have to do the job search himself. You all are lining up waiting to be recruited. And also, okay, this is really confusing. So you're telling me that Kingpin is just now giving them bulletproof vests, and I'm assuming these bulletproof vests have Punisher logos on them. If they don't, then these guys are definitely going to spray paint them on. But so all these guys haven't been working for Kingpin yet? This is the first time he's putting them together? So they've been kind of just operating as their own illegal faction? I mean, we still haven't had an excuse for who killed White Tiger yet. I mean, we literally saw someone in a Punisher vest, but we never got, like, closure on specifically who it was or why they did it other than police corruption. I assumed it was a Kingpin thing. Like, he hired these guys as his anti-vigilante task force to take out people like White Tiger and Daredevil and Spider-Man and Punisher and whoever else, and they were just doing it themselves. So that's weird, and I still don't understand if we're ever going to get full closure on who shot White Tiger, or if Punisher's throwaway line of crazy fanboy cops is all we're going to get with that. Seeing Swordsman from Hawkeye was cool, but I don't know if this is just going to be a glorified cameo or if he's actually going to play a little bit more into the future episodes. I would like to see Tony Dalton be given some better material because I didn't really care for how they handled him in Hawkeye. I felt like it was a waste of his talent, especially after seeing how great he is as an actor in Better Call Saul. Seeing him in Hawkeye was a big step down. Also, this is a nitpick, but they included Eldon Henson and Deborah Ann Wall in the main credits sequence, and I got really excited because I thought we were going to get a little bit more of them maybe, and all it was just for a freaking flashback to episode 1 of just footage we've already seen. So yeah, that sucked. To end things on a positive note, it was nice to see Matt actually praying again. They've been kind of neglecting his faith for the most part in this show. Like, obviously we have the scene where he's standing outside the church and he hears the choir singing and he talks about grace and retribution, but we really haven't had him in a church reflecting on his faith, in the confessional, not talking to Maggie, which I thought would be, where they would take this character moving forward. He doesn't have Father Lantom anymore, so now he'd be talking to Maggie, especially after he's been reunited with her after being estranged from her for God knows how long, since he was a little kid, or his entire life for the most part. Why are we ignoring this character? But again, him just saying that prayer is a nice reminder that they are at least cognizant of his faith, but I would like to see more of it. It is a huge part of his character, and I would like it to consistently be showing up, not just like a little thing that they sprinkle in every now and then just to remember, oh yeah, remember he's Catholic? No, this needs to be a huge thing. It is at the forefront of his mind, and like every aspect of his character hinges on his faith. But man, there are 3 episodes left in this first season, and they have a lot to work out before they end it. I mean, we have to resolve Muse, we have to handle these new Punisher cops, we have to bring back Punisher for an episode that we know for sure he already filmed, we have to pay off Fisk in some way that's actually meaningful considering he's a huge element of this story, we have to wrap up whatever arc White Tiger's niece is going on right now, and we also have to find a way to keep BB Urich and Matt's new girlfriend relevant throughout the rest of the show. By the way, what is her name again? Like, I genuinely can't remember. I could look it up. I know they've said it before, but she is just not as prominent of a character, and honestly, if you cut her out, I don't think it would make a world of difference at all. I know I did sound a little overly negative right here, but I did overall enjoy this episode for the most part. It was certainly a lot better than episode 5. It was better than episode 3 in my opinion. It was nice to see Matt back in the suit, and I definitely did dig everything they did with Kingpin and Muse. Hopefully we get more Punisher next week, if not either episode 8 or 9, obviously, but hoping that this season can stick the landing. They're currently filming season 2 right now. Set photos have dropped. They look really interesting. Matt's in an all-new suit, and I love the look of it. But if I'm going to score episode 6 out of 10, I'm going to give this one an 8. So we have 3 more weeks of Daredevil left before the season is done, and we have to wait another year before the second season comes out. Apparently, they have season 3 planned as well. I don't know when that would come out per se. But in the meantime, if you haven't seen my other reviews for the other episodes, you can find the playlist for that in the end card of this video. Also, if you haven't already, please like this video if you like this review. Feel free to comment below what your overall impression of the show is, what you think is going to be in the near future, and how season 2 is going to go. I would love to hear what you have to say. Just don't have to be a jerk about it if you're disagreeing with someone. Please don't go at each other's throats. This is just a show after all, not the most important thing in the world. Please subscribe if you want more videos like this in your feed, and hit the bell so you know when I'm uploading. And if you want more reviews that don't always make it onto this channel, you can click the links in my description. They'll take you to 4 social media accounts where I do just that, where I post reviews for movies, TV shows, and video games. And again, I always post on those platforms long before I edit a video together on this channel. So check those out if you want. But until next time, guys, God be with you. Take care.